So we have three companies that are going to present today. We have Mitrelli, and we have Gigawatt, and then Golden Links. The three companies are going to share with us an overview about their business, and then after that they will then we will take a few questions, and after the few questions then we will then allow them to take their tables here, and then the delegates and businesses can then join them at the table for the business-to-business interaction. But when they finish, after they've finished, the three companies have finished with the presentations, we will then have other companies that have come also have been invited as part of the networking sessions to do what we call an elevator speech, a 1 minute, 2 minute overview of the company, and just say this is what we do, we are in this sector, and those companies as well will take a seat in the table for then business to business interaction. So without any further ado, I would like to invite a rep from Mitrelli. Mitrelli is an international commercial enterprise that specializes in large-scale, long-term projects, from fields as diverse as agriculture and rural development to those of education and health and training, information systems, and telecoms. And their success lies in their ability to study the needs of local populations and the demands of the host government, and working with them in a flexible, adaptable way to offer innovative solutions. And so I would like to invite Mitrelli to come and give us their first presentation. Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you, everyone. Great energies here today. My name is Itzik Ben Basat from the Mitrelli Group. I will present Mitrelli briefly, and then let you ask a few questions if you want. I understand that there are people here from several countries in Africa. Mitrelli is a holding under the name Mitrelli. We have 11 companies. Each company is dedicated for a different sector. We have an agriculture company, energy company, water company, telecommunications, construction, education, fisheries, and much more. Mitrelli has been working for the last 20 years in various African countries. Namely, our biggest center today is Angola, but we also have a center in Congo-Brazzaville, in the Ivory Coast, in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Mozambique, and in several other countries. I heard, is there someone from Mozambique here? Where? Not here. Never mind. Yeah. Great. We, in each one of these sectors, who's moving the... More, let's go to the... Yeah, here. Okay. So as I said, we have a company for each one of these sectors. I will start from housing and construction. Today we are building 40,000 affordable housing units in Angola as part of a national project. We've brought a special technology from Germany called AAC. It's a huge project. We already finished 15,000 units and gave them to the government, and we are building the rest now, and we are negotiating now with the government of Angola a second phase of this project. It's a great success. The technology is amazing. It's really affordable. It's really high scale comparing to other affordable technologies existing today in the market. And we can personalize it to each one of the country's needs. We are today working also with the government of Rwanda on a concept based on our experience in Angola. And we think that in the next few years, we are going to do several other projects. We have already signed several MOUs with other governments around Africa. In the agriculture sector, as we said, we are an integrator. That means that we are working with many companies here in Israel, importing technologies from Israel in order to do projects in Africa. So we are working in agriculture mainly with governments. We are doing from large-scale farms to desertification projects, to anything that you can imagine in agriculture. Actually, today we are starting in South America, not in Africa, in South America, in Nicaragua, a project of growing tobacco for cigars. We are doing in the Ivory Coast a huge project in order to do the commercialization of cashew nuts. You're from the Ivory Coast? No.
I'm just saying, no, he said cashew nuts are better than tobacco.
Yeah, I agree. Cashew nuts are much better than tobacco, if you ask me personally, but you know. Much tastier.
Much healthier.
Yeah. So the commercialization of cashew nuts, we are doing tomatoes, we are doing anything that you can imagine. So we bring the technology, we work with Israeli companies, we know how to integrate all these technologies into a solution. So you come to us with a desire or with a problem or with a need, and we know how to take all these technologies, all this knowledge that you have today here in Israel, and to put it into one solution that will fit you. I can say that we have a lot of experience in the agriculture field on all the value chain of agriculture. So we can come and build a good business plan if it's for growing something, if it's for packaging it or processing it, and if it's for distributing it, or if it's for the entire value chain. Education and professional training are also projects that we are doing with governments. Here I can give you a few examples. One very nice example is youth villages that we are building. We have great experience from Angola again here. In Angola, as many of you probably know, they had a problem after the civil war ended of youth staying in the streets and without education and without work. The solution that we found was taking this model of youth villages from Israel, bringing it into Angola. These youth villages are in the model of boarding schools. We're taking children that are homeless children at the age of around 15, 16. They're staying in these boarding schools for 3 years, and in these schools they are studying electricity, carpentry, agriculture, and when they leave these schools, they have a profession. When they leave these schools, they give back to society, they can find work, they can sustain themselves. So this is a huge success. We've already built 3 of these villages. We are now building another 3. Just a point here, we can run projects or operate them after finishing building them, or we can transfer the know-how. What we prefer is always to transfer the know-how, because what we've learned is that the know-how is the most important thing in projects in Africa. If a company comes and does projects in Africa or in any other place, doesn't have to be Africa, and leaves after constructing it or after a year of operation, it usually declines, it usually falls. What you need to do is put emphasis on the transfer of knowledge. The transfer of knowledge is super important here. And once you transfer the knowledge, because people are capable, everywhere we have capable people, we just need to teach them how to operate and how to manage the project. And once this knowledge passes, and this is what we do in all these projects. Health projects, we build hospitals, we manage hospitals, we bring the doctors and the nurses teams if needed. We bring all the equipment needed. We build city centers. Sorry. We build city centers in a model, in a sort of a BOT model, where we bring the equipment, we run the city, and we get paid for, we share the profit with the hospital that we work with. Telecom and IT, we do cybersecurity, we do cellular networks. We've built already 2 cellular companies in Africa. We ran them for a certain time and we passed them back to the governments. We are doing IT infrastructure all over, if it's fiber optic cables and things like that. Energy. On the energy sector, we are building power stations, we are building power lines, distribution lines. We are doing projects of prepaid meters. Actually, we are doing projects of prepaid meters for electricity, for water, and for gas. This is a good point to say that in each of these areas, we are working with large Israeli companies. So a good example here in the energy sector is our partner for the energy sector is the Israeli electricity utility, which comes as our owner's engineering. And they bring all their knowledge and all their experience in electricity and electricity management, power management. So all this knowledge is here. GIS projects, geographical information systems. We did the National Cadastre of Congo-Brazzaville. We are doing today the Cadastre project for Luanda, the capital of Angola. As you all probably know, Cadastre and land registration is the base for managing a city. You cannot charge taxes without knowing who owns the land, who owns the house, what is the house's number. You cannot send him the bill if you don't have house numbers. So this is the base of managing a city, and we are doing that. We know we are dealing with very intense and very extreme situations where lands were not registered for years, or they were registered, some people registered them in the City Hall, others registered them in the Ministry of Justice, others just got into houses after colonialization finished and stayed living there, and now they own the house because they've been there for 20, 30, 40 years. And we have all this experience of how to handle all these situations. Water projects, we do water purification projects for remote villages. We do municipal water management. We know how to, we have projects where we find leaks on the municipal distribution systems. Finding leaks on the municipal distribution systems there are several state-of-the-art technologies today in Israel. Some of them are from satellite detection. Today we can detect leaks in the city distribution system from satellite pictures. Others are through sensors that we put on the distribution systems. After finding the leaks, we have new innovative ways of repairing the tubes without opening them, without taking them out. And in any way, when we detect the leak, when we know where the leak is, we don't have to open the entire street. We don't have to take out all the tubes. We just know exactly where the leak is, and we treat it on the point. Fishery projects. We are doing aquaculture projects from the stage of larvae culture, which are the small larvae, the small fish, to the stage of fattening the fish and selling them to the markets. We are working also here, something that returns in all these sectors. We are working mainly with governments. We also work with private people, but we are working mainly with governments. So I've talked about all these sectors. Something else that I would like to say is that we know how to bring financing to these projects. We are financing today several governments with projects that we are doing. There are several ways to bring financing to these projects. In Angola, which is one example, we have contract with the Ministry of Finance for a financial facility that we opened for them. We are today financing them with more than $7.5 billion. In other countries, in Angola it was easier because they could give us guarantees in oil. In other countries we can bring financing through banks or according to guarantees that the government can give us. If it's BOT projects, we are looking for a guarantee for a buyback of energy, of water, things like that. But we know how to find ways we can bring financing through the Israeli insurance agency. It's called ASHRA. We go to ASHRA, we get insurance for a project, and we get the financing from, just one more minute, and we get the financing from Israeli banks. So we know how to do that also, which is very important. All of us know that one of the day in Africa is everything stops at financing. We know how to work in countries that are restricted by the IMF. It's not easy, but we know how to work there too. We've been in Africa for the last 20 years. We are focusing on Africa, and we love Africa. Me personally, I can say that I really like Africa. I like African people. I think that we have a lot in common, Israelis and Africans. And I hope that we will do business together. I hope that this was interesting for you guys. Any question? We have time for a question? Anyone with a question?
Let's take 2 or 3 questions for...
Yes, sir.
It's good that you deploy your technology also in the area of energy. I'm interested in the area of energy, but you didn't say anything about renewable energy. Are you also having anything in that area?
So we are less into renewable energy. We can give solutions of renewable energy. As I said, we are integrators. So if you come to us and tell us, listen, we want I want an aeolic project or a solar project, we can approach Israeli companies and give you an entire solution. But I have to say that this is less our focus. Where we do have experience is in hydroelectric energy. We did some small dams, some small hydroelectric projects, very successful ones, mainly for agriculture uses. So there we have experience, but not in the area of solar and aeolic projects. This is less our focus.
Small rivers or big dam?
Excuse me?
Small rivers? Do you have something on small rivers?
Yes,
There is a technology.
Yes.
Small rivers,
Yes.
not big dam.
Well, it depends on how much water you have, and if you you know you need to study it. Yeah.
Well, follow up.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. And we'll follow up in the business to business on the tables. I would like to invite Yosef Abramovitz from Gigawatt. You're going to introduce the video and then, okay, please go. Okay.
I'm Rabbi Yonatan Nerel. I direct the Interfaith Center for Sustainable Development. In the book of Genesis, in the first chapter, it teaches, and God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God said, God saw the light, and it was good. And God said, "Let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to provide light upon the earth." We are living in times that our ancestors have been dreaming about for thousands of years. And the Bible makes clear that there is an imperative to take in the light that the Creator is giving us. Every day, Africa receives the most sunlight of any continent in the world. And solar energy is a modern technology that will enable people to receive electricity without polluting, without causing climate change, without causing storms like Hurricane Harvey that is engulfing Houston today, and our prayers and thoughts are with those people there. And so I want to introduce Yosef Abramowitz, who's the CEO of Gigawatt Global. My organization, the Interfaith Center for Sustainable Development, is a nonprofit organization based here in Jerusalem. We work primarily with Christians, Muslims, and Jews on interfaith collaboration. And one of our projects is working with Gigawatt Global to deploy solar energy in collaboration with faith-based and other institutions in Africa. So I'm pleased to share with you Yosef Abramowitz, and there's gonna be a short video about a solar project that Gigawatt Global successfully implemented in Rwanda.
Power Africa, a strong and prosperous and self-reliant Africa.
From this mountaintop, we call on the United Nations to affirm that access to green power and affordable green power should be elevated as a fundamental human right for all of humanity and for all people.
I want to say thank you to the Goza Shalom Youth Village for being our partners.
warwanye mbere nirwo rwari rukomeye bityo ntago numva impamvu rari rwo rukunaniye sigaho kumanika amaboko niharagera abawe tugura inyuma uwiteka kikurora wakoze biriya n'ibindi azabikora nijya kuremeye kuruha ntutinye umubabaro uzagera ushire tugacinye never give up my friend you got me uri wenyine hari n'abakomerewe bese no kukurusha.
And with Power Africa, we commit to 1,000 megawatts by 2020. And what we can see from up here today for Rwanda and Africa and the world is hope.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Rabbi Yonatan, for the interfaith work that you're doing. My name is Yosef, and we gratefully accept the blessing of your pilgrimage, and we bless you as fellow children of Abraham and Sarah. The Israeli name of our company is Energia, the energy of God, like Hallelujah, Energia, because we have the privilege of really living in this miraculous time to be able to harness God's clean, abundant, and infinite energy. As you know, there's 600 million people in Africa without access to power. There's hundreds of millions that are using dirty and expensive diesel. And I know many of you are from South Africa. You know about the Eskom blackouts and its effect on you and your families and the economy. I had the privilege of leading the team that created the solar industry in the state of Israel, in the Holy Land. We've deployed, just as a company, over $300 million, but the industry overall, about $2.5 billion. And when I moved here from Boston with my family to a small kibbutz on the Jordanian border, it's actually literally the path that the Israelites took. It says in the book of Numbers, "V'chanu beyotvata," and they pitched their tents right where we built the solar fields. And so ethical revolutions have a way of coming out of these biblical deserts. And when we moved to a small community there, we had a vision that by 2020, from the Red Sea, the historic Red Sea, up to the Dead Sea, that we wanted 100% of the energy during the day to be supplied by the sun. And every expert in the world told us that's impossible, and the Israeli government was against, and the regulators and the technicians and the electric company, everyone said no one has ever done that, and therefore it's going to be impossible. Well, you know this is a land of miracles. We don't take impossible as an answer if it's just and it's right for the people. So today, we're at 70% powered entirely by the sun during the day, And by 2020, we're going to be 200% powered by the sun. This is our vision and gift for Africa. Because many of your countries, 10%, 20% electrification. How can you have economic development, education, healthcare without energy? And why should we be relying on the energy of the past, the energy of the 20th century? And so we're part of an initiative. We helped formed the White House Power Africa Initiative, which is continuing under President Trump as well, under USAID with the complete support of both parties in the US Congress. And this is a major effort at electrification to drive economic development. We're the only Israeli founding partner of that. The problem with such a notion is that no one had ever succeeded before in sub-Saharan Africa until we did this in Rwanda. And so today, the field you saw is supplying 6% of the country's generation capacity and is the proof of concept really for the rest of Africa. South Africa has solar fields, as you know, but the rest of sub-Saharan Africa, the need is so great, and yet no one had ever succeeded before our small Jerusalem-based feisty company took the reins and decided to create that miracle in Rwanda. Now, we're different than, I know we're a company, but we're different than other companies that you're going to meet because we're quadruple bottom line oriented. Yes, we need to make sure there's a return for our investors. Our investors aren't greedy. It should be just fine. Shouldn't be too low, but it certainly shouldn't be too high, and everything is transparent. But there's three other bottom lines that we pursue. We're looking to deploy capital to advance a humanitarian bottom line. The field in Rwanda is at an orphan village for 500 orphans from the genocide. And we're covering the medical costs, not as charity, it's part of our business, for the orphans that go through there for the next 25 years, whether the sun shines or not. It's part of who we are and what we do. We're always looking for an environmental benefit. And in Rwanda, 40% of the grid was powered by expensive and dirty diesel. When we plugged in the field, it went down to 30%, a measurable difference in terms of the environment. And the fourth bottom line, which I know is in your hearts too, otherwise you wouldn't be here, we want to advance Israel's diplomacy in Africa, Israel's good name in Africa, Israel's contributions to Africa. And so while 6% of Rwanda is powered by that field, pretty soon we'll be powering 15% of Burundi. Pretty soon we'll be powering 25% of Liberia. And I think there's some of you from Nigeria, I can't name the state for security reasons, but soon we'll be powering 200% of one of the Nigerian states. And so this miracle that was from these biblical deserts, we're able to do in a major way. Now, one of the reasons we can do this has to do with our sense of partnership. We don't come in, we have no history of colonial history. We're not the Chinese trying to get mineral rights or any of that. We're coming as partners, as brothers and sisters. And so we're always looking for local partners at several levels. One is that we're an impact investment platform. If you want to join our investors, you're welcome to do so, and I'm happy to be here afterwards. We're also looking for local partners who have land, who have access to land and can actually help the government relations. And I'm sorry to say this, but the main issue that we encounter is that the oil companies have corrupted the ethics of decision-making in many governments, not just in Africa, and that we're clean energy, and we're God's energy, and we do it cleanly. And so the strength of our local partner and the morality of our local partner, in a sense, is the key ingredient. So we're open to partnership with you, and we'll be happy to meet. The other thing is that hopefully you've heard about it. There's a summit coming up in Togo right after the Festival of Booths, October 22nd through 25th. The 3 times that our Prime Minister has traveled for meetings with African leaders, I have been at his side representing the solar opportunity for the State of Israel and in the name of the State of Israel. Somebody here was asking before. So there's going to be a gathering of heads of state. Sorry to say South Africa has called for a boycott. Politics is politics, but you know what? We cannot hold African development hostage to some of the political issues, because the dignity that it is granted when you have access to water or clean power should far outweigh any political considerations. And so we look forward to bringing this blessing, this new light out of Jerusalem with you to Africa. Thank you so much. God bless.
One question of clarity for Yosef, otherwise we will be meeting.
And we bring 100% financing from the get-go. It's a good partnership.
All right, Professor Ojo.
Oh, thank you very much for the beautiful job in Africa. Each time we speak about the issue of solar energy, people raise the issue of the high cost of maintenance. Can you educate us on this?
There's two ways of making energy from the sun, one with heat and one with light. And making it with heat has the advantage that it's easier to store, but there's very high maintenance associated with that. With light, it's very low maintenance. And in fact, what we say often to heads of state, we'll invest on three conditions. One condition is we want to know the orphanages in the area to support. The second is we insist on giving scholarships to your students to come to Israel for the knowledge transfer. And the third is we're not going to bring a lot of people from Jerusalem. We want to keep the jobs local. It's very low maintenance. It's PV, the photovoltaic from light, is it's probably the lowest maintenance energy that the God has provided.
I want to maybe like a quick one from Uncle Bossi, and then we will then move to the
Please,
table.
could you elaborate a bit on 100% financing?
I'll give you an example just from the Rwanda field. So the Rwanda field, we have a little equity sponsor called the Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund. So they only have $940 billion that they're seeking to deploy. And the debt is from the Dutch Development Bank. My main partner is the Overseas Private Investment Corporation from the US government. We're pre-approved for $250 million per project, per country, per year. They're begging for more deal flow. All of our deals are insured by the World Bank. From MIGA, we have a particular arrangement with them. We have no problem sourcing debt and equity. One of the challenges, it does take time, just to kind of put cards on the table, is that it depends how much money we have to spend on studies, right, beforehand, leading up to that. That's actually it's called the Achilles heel. That's also where local capital can play a role and return on it. But yeah, no, we signed a deal with ECOWAS. We're investing $1 billion into renewable energy projects with the East African Union and the West African Power Pool. And we've committed to another $2 billion that is looking now for projects and partners. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Yosef, and we'll chat to you soon. So we now want to invite Roy from Golden Links, and Roy is going to take us through what his company does.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for having me over here. It's a great privilege to give you a quick course about cyber, and later on we will talk a little bit more about what actually do we do. So let's start with the first short video just to explain where we are in the world today. Okay, so a very optimistic movie that says a lot. Actually, we started, if you had a chance to see, only 10 years ago was the first iPhone that was launched, and where we are today. Technology has been extremely progressive when it comes to this new area of generation of where we are at the moment. And yet it is a very optimistic movie, but I would like to start my presentation and to give you a quick lesson about what is cyber by showing you a little bit pessimistic movie. So let's start. What we are talking about. We are talking about the new threat to all of us. And let's talk about cyber. So my friend Joseph spoke a little bit about the load shedding that we have in South Africa. Guys, I'm from South Africa, so I'm speaking very proudly about the things that we are aware of what goes in South Africa. But load shedding doesn't really mean because it's of Eskom. It can also come as a reason of a cyber attack. Next. Another one. Okay, so let's talk numbers a little bit. Cyber. Does anyone knows what cyber is all about? Please, I'm not giving a speech, I'm doing a dialogue over here, so please feel free. Does anyone knows what cyber is? No. Well, that's a good point. Does anyone knows what is this? Sorry? Cell phone. It's a smartphone. Actually, it's a weapon. A simple hacker can use a normal smartphone by logging into the hotel Wi-Fi, and from there, from a third-party interface, it can actually penetrate into the hotel system, into your credit card details that you paid for this event, for example. This is a weapon. If you see the stats that you see over here, this is a quick summary of all the things that happened in 2016. Now, believe me, I could update it on 2017 because 2017 was a major game changer in the cyber environment. But let's focus on the facts. Fact, every 6 seconds, a worker in a specific area around the world is actually going into a malicious website, whether he wants it or not. The damage of the cyber attack that happened in the last 4 months was more than $3.6 billion. Direct damage. Those are also facts. I can give you on and on. I can tell you that it takes 8 months to detect that you have been hacked in your personal environment. And I'm talking with you, ladies and gentlemen, on your own specific laptop, phone, and I'm not talking now if you are on the big scale, on the lower scale. I'm talking to you as a personal, as an individual. Can you do the next one, please? So let's talk about cyber, and let's talk about the threats of cyber, so it will give you much better understanding of where we are standing compared to the world. So we have 4 different vectors. We have the most common one, which we call it the cybercrime. I will leave it to the end because that's the tricky point. Espionage. Whoever wants to be the new 007, it's completely there. A country or a a company that wants to get some more information against the other one will use espionage. We can call it either for nations or corporate. It's definitely something that is out there. People are using today small mechanism that you are using on your daily routine in order to penetrate, to hack into your system, to gain more information and more knowledge of what goes on with you. Subversion. Does anyone knows what the word DDoS means? Okay, who has a bank account here? Not in Israel, in general. Excellent. Let me ask you a simple question. What will happen tomorrow morning when you would like to log into your bank account and you will get this weird message that it says, sorry, we have been hacked? That is DDoS, denial of service. We are breaking your daily routine activity, things like you are doing on a normal day, connecting through the internet to the bank account, to Eskom to pay for your electricity, cellular. DDoS stands for deny of service. It's one of the biggest mechanisms of cyber threats around the world. Sabotage. Sabotage, or we like to call it the human element, is the number one risk when it comes to cyber. Let me give you two facts. 1% of your staff in your organization is 75% risk to your organization by given fact. A worker, an unhappy worker that didn't get his salary on time, or he didn't get his raise or his bonus, is not happy. His immediate response will be is to create a damage. That also falls into cyber. But let's talk about the most important thing, which is cybercrime. Does anyone knows what Bitcoin is over here? Okay, brilliant. Has anyone bought Bitcoin in the past? Well, I did when it was $320. Now it's worth almost $4,000. It's one of the biggest value change in the last 12 months. Cybercrime today is considered to be the biggest mechanism for the cyber hackers. I'm removing the element of the nations and I'm talking about syndicates. What does it mean? Another one. So actually what drives cybercrime is actually financial. Everybody wants to get more money, and the best way and the simple way to do it is actually to hack and to encrypt all of your file and to ask for money. In a simple word, we call it ransom. Simple. And I can tell you that a month and a half ago, there was a major cyber event that started in the UK called WannaCry. Beside of the weird name of WannaCry, I can tell you that everybody that was hacked actually wanted to cry because he was hacked. The mechanism of cybercrime works in a specific way. Ransom decrypt all of your information and then sending you a login to buy through using Bitcoins and to release all of your data. Simple, but works. But before we are going into that details, we need to understand that cyber is a very generic word for a lot of systems, a lot of scams. So we are talking about the normal phishing and spear phishing. Does anyone know what phishing is all about? It's not saying that we're going to fish really with the hook, but it says that, for example, that I know that my friend over here that just started to work in a new position in South Africa, and I heard that by accident, sitting with him outside, I will send him an email, a very simple and honest email that says, hey, congratulations, we heard that you started to work in Pretoria. Here is a coupon for the nearest restaurant in Pretoria. Please press this button, print the coupon, and you will be able to get a free meal in my restaurant. Now let's be honest. Would you press the button? You're not honest. Okay, so the chances are that the majority of the people will press this button. What I've just done, called phishing. I had a target, I knew exactly what I'm going to do, and I threw the hook into the water. Now, specific to you, it was a spear phishing because I heard all the information before that. How do we generate all of this information? Well, it's quite simple. Who has a Facebook account over here? That's all. Gee, Mark Zuckerberg, not happy. Are you sure? That's all the people that has Facebook. Okay, who is using WhatsApp? Okay, that's more like it. Who is using open source intelligence? Let's say News 24 in South Africa. I'm not familiar with all the things in the rest of Africa. All of those are places that when you are logging in and you are sharing your information, you are actually, in a very generous way, giving more and more information about yourself. That means that the hackers that want to get into you will have the ability to build a scenario upon you, meaning get all the information, what was your latest holiday, where it was, and then it will send you a very simple email. Remember that I've met you at a holiday? Well, nobody really do remember what happened in the holidays. So that's basically phishing. The list of the things that you see over here is quite big. I will have to ask you to skip some more pages, more, and I will get into the times, because another one, and more, another one, okay, one more, another one, okay, good. Golden Links. Golden Links is an Israeli company that has offices around the world. We have an office in Joburg, South Africa. We have an office in Panama, Singapore, and Cyprus. Personally, I'm running the activity in South Africa, and we have just opened the entire cyber SIMSOC. SIMSOC is a very advanced word for Security Operations Center, which we are monitoring all the activity that goes on a client server or client environment. What do we do? Number one, we are starting with a very basic assessment. So we are coming to your organization, no matter if it is a normal organization or a government, doesn't really matter. And we are doing an assessment. The assessment is equal to the fact that when you are not feeling well, you're going to the doctor, and the doctor is actually telling you, let's do a blood test. That's the assessment that we are doing. With the results of that assessment, we have the ability to come and to say, all right, you need to take care of yourself. And then we are going into the implementation. Implementation can be either via technology or training. The training is the most important element. If you remember, I said earlier that 1% of your staff is 75% of your risk. Your human factor in your organization is your biggest risk. You can have the best technology in the world, but if you don't have proper training, you are in a risk. Together with Ariel University, which is one of the largest cyber universities in Israel, we have opened in South Africa with Stellenbosch University in Cape Town. We are doing today a full training into the cyber area. We are starting with a very basic degree and then going into simulation. The simulation is unique because, as well as all of us is actually going and using training in other places, what we are doing, we are giving you the fact that you can train yourself against cyber attacks. We can provide you with the SOP, we can provide you with all the relevant training element, and to go all the way over there. The SOC service, which is the last one, is embedded together with AIG. I'm sure all of you has heard about AIG. And together with AIG, we are offering today a full service that's combining cyber insurance first respond, and all the relevant elements that are going over there. I'm sitting over here. If you have any more questions, and if you want to get any more details, I will be more than happy to provide you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roy. We appreciate that. I think we will then would like to invite our last speaker, who is coming from the Ministry of Economy and Industry in Israel, Mr. Amit Lev. They are our partners basically in hosting some of the business partners from Israel. He will give us a quick overview of the work of the ministry in supporting these bilateral or multilateral relations, And then after that, we will request that Joseph and Roy take these 3 front tables or 3 tables, and then that we then have the interaction. And then after that, we will then do some introduction of the well, before we actually get to the tables, we will introduce a couple of the other Israeli businesses that are here, and then we will then go and sit in the tables. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good to see you today. My name is Amit Lev. I'm from the Ministry of Economy, from the Foreign Trade Administration. And before I start, I would like to say some words about myself. After I finished my army service, I decided, as most of the Israelis, to go to a big trip, and I chose to do it in Africa. And after 8 months in Africa, something starting to be in my body about Africa. And then I graduated from university, and I worked in a startup company that also did some activity in Africa, also with one of the guys that talked here before. And then I joined to the government in the Ministry of Economy, and I started to deal with Africa department and also with the World Bank issues that relevant to Africa. And I got the position to be the head of the economic mission in South Africa, surprisingly, in a few months. So as you can see, Africa is something that escorts me from the beginning of my elder life. I will speak a little bit about what the government or the Ministry of Economy does for Africa. What activities do we have? It will be very short, no presentation, just free speaking. So the Foreign Trade Administration, this is the administration that is in charge of all the trade relationship between Israel and other countries. And we as the government, we want to encourage and to promote areas that we think that there is not enough Israeli presence or Israeli trade presence in areas that we think there is a potential. And this is something that have changed in the last years, and I'm very glad about that we put more resources and more investments through places like Africa, like Asia, like India, places that we don't see a lot of economic relationship between those countries, and we think that there is a potential to move forward. So basically, the Foreign Trade Administration is in charge of 3 main pillars. The first pillar is all the tax trade regulations, everything that goes with laws and trade. So we help to do trade agreements between countries. Currently, we don't have any trade agreement in Africa, but we hope that very soon we will have some trade agreements between countries and between countries in Africa and Israel. The second one is investments, is to attract investments from countries to Israel, not only money, but also to open factories in Israel, or to bring added value that other countries has to Israel. It's less relevant to Africa right now, but it's something that just for your knowledge. And this third one, and this is the biggest pillar, is the economic missions. We have 44 economic missions all over the world. It's someone that from our office with a local crew that helps Israeli companies to find distributors or integrators, end users, and to help the connections that eventually will bring more trade relationship between the countries. So currently we have in Africa unfortunately, only one economic mission. This is in South Africa. But the good news is that we are going to open another 2. At the beginning of 2018, we will have a new economic office in Nairobi, Kenya. And in the beginning of, I would say, by the end of 2018, we'll have another one in West Africa. So we are starting to put more eyes on Africa. And basically, every economic mission works in a very, much of them works in a very similar way. We have three main things that we do. One of them is the conferences. We help to Israeli companies to go to conferences and present their products, their services. Currently, are planning to Africa next year in three main conferences that's in South Africa, but would be relevant for all of you in all Africa, is the NAMPO. NAMPO is the agricultural conference, I think in May in South Africa. The Africa Health for medical devices products in June, and AfricaCom. This is in November. This will be in a few weeks, 2017, and also we will do it in 2018. And when I say we do the conference, we have a big national booth with the name of Israel on it, and we schedule meetings for the Israeli companies. We have some events during the exhibition and the conferences. So I really invite you all to, if in your specific sector, to come and meet us. The second one is roadshows. We take several Israeli companies from a specific sector. It could be fintech or water or agriculture. And we bring something between 6 to 10 or 12 companies and show them all the relevant players in the country. I can't tell you now what will be exactly the roadshows, but we will have several of roadshows in South Africa and also in Kenya. Sometimes it also will be together. The delegation will start in Kenya, and then we'll go to South Africa and so on. And the third one is basically a one-on-one meeting. Okay, if you have, I don't know, kind of a need, and you're looking for a solution, technology or service or something like that, we provide, I can call it sort of scouting for the companies, for the people that are looking for solutions, because we basically are the government. Like, we don't care about, we do care, we would like to see more business from Israel to Africa, but eventually we don't do the business between with the companies, and that means that we work with everyone. So when we do the scouting, we go to all the relevant organizations and parties in Israel and ask them, okay, this is the need of the client. Can you provide us the relevant solutions? And then we provide for you a relevant list with all the companies, with all the relevant technologies, and you can cherry pick the relevant companies for you and go from there and to be in touch with them. I forgot to mention that also we have several conferences here in Israel that we bring delegations to from Africa. One of them is WATEC, that will be in 2 weeks from now. This is the biggest conference for water technology. And also we'll have Agritech for agriculture that will be in May next year. That all the relevant players of agriculture will be in Israel, seeds and all chemicals and everything and products and irrigation will be in one place, so it's very easy for you to get and to know all the relevant players. And we have in November, next year, November 18, we'll have HLS and Cyber Conference. This is the national, the biggest cyber and HLS conference in Israel. Again, with all the relevant players, with all the biggest companies, and it's very convenient to come to one place and to see everyone. So this is really in a nutshell about the activities of the government. We have several of agreements now that we put more resources through the World Bank to do projects in Africa. So if some of you is working with the World Bank, you can I will be more than happy to help you to facilitate some pilot or technical assistance through our agreements. And again, we are here for you and to help you and to connect you with everyone and every company that will be your best convenient. and good luck in Israel, and enjoy your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amit. And I think we appreciate that overview and the support that you are offering to African businesses. But we also appreciate the fact that there will be an expansion of these economic offices, East, West, Africa, and hopefully Central and North eventually. But I mean, the point about it is, this is the business highway we are talking about to Israel, and that is something that is important for us to note. What we would like to do now is basically to invite any other business. We have businesses that were invited to come and pitch.
On behalf of the Africa Leadership Summit and the Africa-Israel Chamber of Commerce, I'd like to thank Amit among the other, presentations, because we approached the Ministry of Trade, and they have helped us to secure the connections with all these business people. And so on behalf of the Africa Leadership Summit and the Africa-Israel Chamber of Commerce, I want to thank you for coming, and I want to thank the Israeli Department of Trade for honoring our invitation. But I have a question. Do you actually have an African desk that the Africa-Israel Chamber of Commerce may relate to directly, so that the Ministry of Trade knows that the Africa business side is organized as Africa-Israel Chamber of Commerce, and we guarantee credibility on our platform so that we minimize the risk already before you engage with our business people in the different parts of Africa?
First of all, thank you for the warm words. Africa is a quite new model for us, because if you look on the trade relationship of Israel, for example, on the numbers, you'd see that the biggest partner of Israel, it's the United States and Europe. All the export to Africa, all the countries, it's less than $1 billion. But having said that, there is a change of understanding that Africa is the place that we need to be. And you can see this also, it starts from the Prime Minister. He's going to Togo in October. This is the third time in 1 year, third time. I don't think he went to any other places like Africa in the last 10 years. Yeah, and it's a change. And this change that started from the Prime Minister goes all the way to our ministry. And today, we are recruiting people to establish the Africa desk, and when we will put the people in East Africa and West Africa, we will have a bigger desk that can handle all the activities. And I can give you an example that in the WOTEC conference in 2 weeks from now, we dedicated a whole panel to Africa, because we understand that this is the place that we want to go. And also in the HLS Cyber Conference, we will dedicate a specific panel and sessions to Africa, because there is a switch in our mind about how we need to address Africa. So right now, I am the desk. But we are now increasing our activities and our people, and I hope that eventually to be a solid desk that can handle all the activities.
Thanks. So if you are the desk, can AICC sign a partnership agreement right away with the desk?
Okay. All right, thank you very much. And again, thank you very much, Amit, for making the time. We know that you have a very tight schedule. So what I would like to do now is to just invite, that's Mr. Simon Kungu, and then followed by Mr. Bassem Adranli, and then followed by Michael, to just take 1 minute and just say, this is what we do. So I'm not gonna go away so that I can stop you when your minute is over.
God bless you. Hallelujah. God has given us power to get wealth, according to his word in Deuteronomy 8:18. It's a great opportunity to be here. My name is Pastor Simon in Israel. Our company, Capri, we do trade and marketing. We represent few companies from the Dead Sea products. And we also have some company with a special product, which is a food supplement, which I want just to talk about it, is cannabis oil. Cannabis oil, it's good for your health. It also promotes your health, so you'll be free from some deadly sickness. Also, we have cannabis cosmetic, which is very good for anti-aging. We also have a product that is for animals. There are so many people today are in love of animals and the pets and horses. We have product which is natural. All our products are natural. Hallelujah. I'm sorry, I'm not preaching, sorry. Animals products are all natural. You want your pet to look good, so you need this product. So we are looking for partnership, and we are also looking for people we can work together. That is our presentation. God bless you all, and God, when you go back, remember to pray for the peace of Israel. God bless you.
Thank you. And may I have a second business, where's Michael? Oh, maybe Sam first, and then Michael, yes.
I'm not a businessman very much. Well, I'm into business. I'm also a minister, pastor in Jerusalem, and also an optometrist. So I just want to express my love to you and thank you for coming here. And I want to express my sadness. My background is I'm an Arab from the old city of Jerusalem. And I'm very sad because I see the Palestinians, they are missing great opportunity if they just open their hearts to Israel and to accept Israel and ask their help, and it could bring revolution to the whole area, really. It could bring peace to the whole region, but the Palestinians are very proud still. I can say that because I am an Arab myself, Israeli Arab. So we have a shop for optometry in the old city, and we are working now to make screen of shops, and we hope we will succeed. So thank you for coming, and we welcome you here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bassem. And we want to then invite Michael. What do you have?
First of all, good morning, everybody. And God bless everyone who came to visit us in Jerusalem. Amen. So I just came with a small presentation. I am Michael. I came from Tel Aviv, and I represent Magal Company. Let's see. in 2 words, and then I have a movie. Magal company is a provider key solution in security. We are a public company trade in NASDAQ. We install in more than 80 companies, and we have a huge number of technologies. We address markets is transportation, airports, seaports, railways, safe cities, smart cities, energy, critical infrastructures, borders. We made the Egyptian-Israel border. We made the border with Gaza, prisons, and security camps. We made it several security camps in South Sudan. This is a part of what we made all over the world. We made the Mombasa port in Kenya from the beginning to the end. We made the Gabon African Cup twice in 12 and 16. We made protection of solar energy, gas and oil in South America, and refugee camp in South Sudan. It's what we made. We will be very pleased to enlarge and strengthen our business in South Africa and everywhere in Africa. And welcome to Israel. Bye.
Okay, thank you very much. So what we're now going to do is that Roy is taking that table, Joseph and Itzik, and then what I'm requesting is that the other businesses that have just shared also take a table, and so that people, a unique table that is not shared with another business, so that the delegates can then come and interact. Basically, what that brings us to is that we are now at 12:30. We formally break. We have an open session up until 3 o'clock. So that includes lunch, it includes the networking, and until then we meet at 3 o'clock. One thing that we want to say is that the partnership with the ministry and further engagements and partnerships then with businesses are all going to be coordinated through the Africa-Israeli Chamber of Commerce. And please approach the leadership team of the AICC for that engagement further. Thank you very much, and have a lovely lunch, and God bless you.